Hi, my name's Brendan Kelly. In this conversation, we continue our journey towards effective goal setting, and we do so by working backwards. Working backwards helps us to understand whether the goals we are setting for ourselves are realistic or not. You see, the future is always more difficult to see than the past. And it's the same for setting goals that are realistic. When coming up with the goals that we want to achieve, if we take a moment to position ourselves at the completion of this goal, and we look backwards from that position and what it took for us to get there, that will help us to understand the path we need to follow to achieve that outcome. In looking at our goals from this perspective, we then get to see fairly clearly whether what we're trying to achieve is realistic or just simply a pipe dream. So in returning to our conversation with Mary, you get to see the power of beginning with the end in mind.
Yeah, well, let's say we have a goal. We're now in December 16. This is a 2017 goal. In 2017, we want in our bank. So now we start to figure out, and this is my invitation to you, turn the page, we're talking calendars now, yeah? Think about the strategic approach that you want to take on. Is it a development? Is it a reno? Is it a subdivision? It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a buy and hold, doesn't matter what it is. But I encourage you to think about what it is and the numbers associated, the strategic approach that you need for that in order to secure the profit that you want in the time frame you want it. Let me see if I can explain that with Mary. December 2017. Yeah? You have in your bank account now $90,000 more dollars. Yeah? Woohoo! We can have a bottle of Moe and enjoy it, let's say. Yeah? Woohoo! That's in your bank account. What did it take to get that in your bank account?
In terms of time or...
Well, how does it appear in your bank account? As profit.
Cash.
Yeah, cash. Great. What from?
From selling the property.
Well, at the time of contract of sale or when?
Right, settlement.
Settlement.
Yeah.
This had to settle, didn't it? So December 17 has to settle. Yep. You want a 30-day settlement, yes? So then in November, what had to happen?
Sell it.
Sell it, yeah? You needed a contract of sale in November. All right? Sale. Yes? Cool. In order to have the sale occur, we need to have done what? Market it, listed it, yeah? And how long do you think we would need to sell it, let's say? 4 weeks? If the market's pretty warm, 4 weeks is probably reasonable. Let's run with 4 weeks because we're really short on time, yes? Right, so we're in October now, and it's finished. Does that make sense? Yeah, we finished it. That's finished everything. Yeah, we finished. We need titles by here. Yeah, we don't need titles here. But we need to have this in a condition that people go, I love it. Yeah? Then, in October. All right, great. How long does it take to do a cosmetic reno?
3 months?
3 months, 6, well, if you're good at it, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, do it in 2. 6 weeks, allowing a little bit of latitude and a little bit of experimentation and some, maybe, I think I know what I'm doing, but I don't really. Let's go into, I'm going to do the 3-month thing. What are we in October now? What's 3 months prior? Working backwards. Who knows their calendar backwards? July. Yep. So we start reno here. Yes? Start reno. That's the latest we can start. We can do it any time before then, has to be finished here, but that's the latest we can start it. All right. Let's look at the other components. Subdivision. When does subdivision? Titles. When do we need titles? 2 weeks before settlement. Yes? You must have titles 2 weeks before settlement, which is mid-December. Yes? How long does it take, on average, most councils 1 into 2, for a subdivision from start to finish? 9, sorry?
Mine took 4 months.
4 months? 7 months? If we allow 9 months, is that sufficient? You okay with that? We allow 9 months? So from mid-December, we need to be in mid-March to start the process of subdivision. Does that make sense? Ah, well, that's a restriction. All right. How long does it take to build? You have 4 months? 8 months? 10? 12 for one house? 16 weeks plus contingencies? 4, yeah? All right. 6 months to a build? Are we comfortable with 6 months to build? Yeah. So it needs to be finished by then. 6 months before October is when? Marchish. Yeah? March is looking like a pretty powerful day. So what has to happen then in March? If we've got to start these things in March, what has to happen in March?
Planning.
It take to get building plans in and done. Building plans.
Planning last time it took me 12 months.
Yeah, 12 months. Yeah?
Just depends on the council.
So we're down to where? December again? We're back to December 2016? Yes? Do you realise that you're already late? Yes? Which was my point. Yeah? We're now mapping this in time. And if we want that outcome, and we want it by then, knowing the strategic approach, knowing what it takes to do the deal through, we map it out in a year and we go, oh, we're already late. Yes? Fascinating, isn't it? So in order to have a nice from here then, which was our deal, we figured out that we really need to be buying this thing, we really need to be submitting plans and permits in December this year, yes? That's 12 months. If we've got to find the property, that's another 2 months. Yes? Know the area, that's another month. Really, this is a 15-month project starting from today. Yeah? Idea of what we need to be doing? Yes? Hands up who's getting a sense of urgency and about what they need to be doing tomorrow. Yes? Hands up who was feeling pressure that I'm already late. Yes? Perfect. Because that's the job. My role tonight is to have you see what you want in 2017 and what you need to do to be getting it. So that you actually walk out here going, you know what? There's a sense of urgency about this. Because without that sense of urgency, there's a sense of not urgent. Yeah? And without that sense...
So how might this process work for you? How might you be able to determine if the goals you are setting are realistic or not? And how might you determine what you need to be doing tomorrow in order to achieve the goals you want 12 months from now? Well, broadly speaking, there's a process, and it's got to do with a fairly comprehensive understanding of the property investing strategy you want to take on. The general approach for effectively working backwards follows this sort of path. Having determined the strategy that you want to take on, it requires you actually learning in detail about the strategy that you're looking to adopt. That means knowing all the numbers in the deal from beginning to end, and knowing the timing about the functions that strategy requires you to perform. For example, in a renovation, you would need to spend some time knowing the numbers in the deal. You'd need to spend some time knowing whether your finances are going to work for that deal or not, and what you need to buy your property for. You would need to spend some time searching areas, spend some time negotiating, and then purchase it. There'd be some time associated with the settlement period. And then there'd be time doing the renovation. Having completed the renovation, there'd be time required for you to sell the property. Having sold it, there'd be time required for settlement for the purchaser who bought it from you. So you need to consider then in doing a renovation project, the time from today through to the time to completion and the settlement of the property that you've sold, and then the banking of the profit. Now, if you're thinking of making $50,000 of profit from a renovation, and you're thinking that 3 months is enough time, then you might find by working backwards that it's actually impractical to achieve. If you have a $50,000 profit that you're after out of a renovation and you wanted that in 24 months' time, you might find that that's too far down the track and there's not a lot required of you today in order to deliver on that. So knowing how the strategy works helps you to determine a realistic goal. And this is what we saw with Mary. If you approach your goal setting in the same way that we approached Mary's goal setting, you work from the profit that you're after first. Just a matter then of assessing the finances that you have available to you and the price of the property you're looking to purchase to determine if your profit expectations are realistic. If, for example, you are after $100,000 profit, and in order to get that $100,000 profit you need $1 million property, but you can only afford to buy one for $400,000, then you know that your goal is unrealistic. If, on the other hand, you're after a $20,000 profit, and in order to achieve that you need a $300,000 property, and you can afford to purchase a $600,000 property, then you know that you can easily achieve that target and you may as well go for a little bit more. But knowing the numbers in your strategic approach is critical to determine this outcome. And it's exactly the same when you're attempting to assess the time that you set for you to achieve your goal. As with Mary, by working backwards from the date you've set yourself to achieve your goal, you can determine with some clarity what you need to be doing tomorrow in order to achieve it. Remember, you can have anything you want, but you must be persistent about getting it. Until we meet again, invest wisely.